So I just wanted to share this word with you all. Day before yesterday, I kept seeing the numbers 5 and 12 and 12, 5. And then I realized, I think it was even the day before that, I kept seeing 5 and 12 and 12 and 5. And when I really started paying attention, it ended up being December the 5th. Today is December the 7th. But it was, I'm like, wait a minute, the date is 12/5. So I kind of got busy and wasn't really intentionally like trying to seek God about, what he was saying. And then last night I repented for that. I asked God, I had felt convicted about it. Like, whoa, you give me something, I can tell you speaking to me. And then I'm just so busy doing this, doing that. And I'm not really paying attention. Like, I'm like, God, forgive me and help me. Give me the grace to, to seek you about this, that discipline to sit down and just listen to you and hear and stop moving around all the time and just be still. And take that time to hear God, which is the most important thing out of everything we do. So anyway, and this is going to be short. I don't think this is going to be longer than 5 minutes. But this morning I looked up. My Bible had already been right here on Nehemiah 5 for a couple of days, but I had not read it. And so this morning I got up to do my Bible study and I just said, let me just read what it's open to. And it so happens to be Nehemiah 5. And I wasn't even putting it together like, okay, this is 5. I wasn't paying any attention to that. But what it was talking about was how God's people were being exploited and used and charged heavy taxes by the Persian king. And also how even they were being exploited even by their own people, not just the king, but they were being exploited by their own people, by God's people. And so it grieved my heart when I was reading about this. The people were just crying out, and Nehemiah, a man of God, heard their cry. He heard their cry and he was outraged, like he was grieved and angry from their outcry. In verse 6, it says, then I was very angry when I heard their outcry in these words of accusation. And then so what happened is he went and challenged the nobles and the rulers. And he said to them, you are exacting usury, excessive interest from your own brothers and relatives. So I held a great assembly to confront them. So basically, to make a long story short, Nehemiah, a man of God, he said he thought long and hard about it. He prayed about it first. And then he went and he confronted the rulers, the leaders, the ones who were actually in authority and power that were exploiting these poor people that was God's people. So he advocated for them, basically. As I'm reading and I get to verse 10 to see what happens, and then God brought it to me like, wait a minute. Does this have 12 verses in it? Does it have 12? And I'm like, wait a minute, 5, 12. Make a long story short, I end up kept reading it. Couldn't wait to get to verse 12 because God gave me number 5 and a number 12. So when I got to verse 12, it says, then they said, so these are the rulers that Nehemiah addressed and confronted and rebuked and told them, hey, you all are wrong for doing this. And so this was the response in verse 12. Then they said, we will give it back and not require anything from them. We will do exactly as you say. Then I called the priest and took an oath from them that they would act in accordance with this promise. So this was the priest, not just the rulers, not just secular rulers, not just pagan rulers, but the priests, people in God's house, the people in God's house, his people was exploiting the people.